Hello, my sweet dear friends. Welcome to your weekly astrology tarot scope sesh with me. We had RV sesh yesterday. It was amazing. Okay. Actually, no, it was today. Okay. We are putting up a new schedule for May, so stay tuned to see what that is. This week ahead is really exciting to talk about because we have two different things happening. We have the full moon in Scorpio, and then we also have Mercury stationing direct. That's why I'm calling this week Eyes Open or Eyes Wide Open. Something about eyes being very open. You already have that with the full moon in Scorpio happening on Tuesday, the 23rd. Now, today we have, I should start from the beginning. So today we do have the sun in Taurus squaring Pluto in Aquarius. And this is part of the full moon brewing. So over the weekend, Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, things have already been rumbling. And the days leading up to the full moon are the most revealing. When something goes exact, like an aspect, the energies usually already hit the peak. Then it's waning. So big things over the weekend, big developments, big awakenings, and they're leading you to the results. So the results are going to be playing out in the front half of the week the most vividly, and then the rest of it will be playing out over the 2 weeks that follow this full moon. So Sun square Pluto, Sunday, the 21st of April. Happy 420 yesterday, everybody, for everyone that celebrates. So Sun square Pluto is, you have to mind hack this one more than you have to mind hack all of the other difficult transits and aspects. You have to, the only way you win this mind hack is through deepening your self-awareness and self-honesty. So you're never going to win a Pluto anything unless you have the most grounded, honest self-perception and self-knowledge. That's going to be, I was telling my clients and I was telling my team at work that are under me to, if you humble yourself as far as you can go, as deep as you can go, and which requires a lot of self-honesty, if you humble yourself to the realist, there's not going to be anyone or anything that can further humble you. There's not going to be any situation or consequence or person that's going to further humble you than you've already humbled yourself. And so nothing can knock you down because you're not that far up. And so Sun square Pluto, that's how to handle that one always. And anything that's how I approach it. When I see my astrology, that's always what I focus on. And more specific, take a look at everything going on in your life. What are you thinking about most of the day? What are you worried about most of the day? Where's your attention and your energy going? So these are the things that are probably going to bring up to the surface like an infection, something you can't look at, can't bear to not look at anymore, and now it's a problem. And you may feel, over the weekend, like resentful to have to, change or alter or adapt, because this is not an easy adaptation. Or others of you can find that you are suddenly thrust into a position of power or an authority, and you just have to use it. You just have to make some executive decisions, and you just have to use the power that you have, and maybe a deeper level of the power that you're not using on a day-to-day basis. This would almost be like London Bridge falling down. And then all of a sudden things have to happen because, the monarch is fallen. And so there needs to be other things that, make some executive decision. Anyway, all right. So that's over the weekend, things are already showing you in what direction they're going in. Hey, welcome, willkommen. And then on Tuesday, we have the full moon in Scorpio at 4 degrees, standing across the sky to the sun at 4 degrees of Taurus, and together they are T-squaring Pluto at 2 degrees Aquarius. So definitely going to be the hardest ride for the fixed signs: Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leos. Okay, so leading up to this is the full moon on the solar eclipse in Aries that occurred April the 8th. Later on, Mercury is going to station direct when it's stationed retrograde Monday, April the 1st. So what comes up at this full moon has been under the surface this entire time, since probably going back to mid-March, because it's tied in with this Mercury retrograde. Oh boy. And so what comes up is going to help bring closure to a lot of situations, but it's like happening a little fast, or happening like ripping off a band-aid, or like a child hiding an illness or a wound because they're embarrassed, and they go so long hiding it from the parent, and then when it's unearthed, the Scorpio full moon hits, and it's like this T-square energy, and it's like, oh my God, there's maggots in it. It's like, oh, it's gotten so bad. Oh my God. So it needs this. It needs to be dried out. It needs to be cleaned out. It needs some antibacterial something. It needs to be cleansed. It needs to be dried up. It needs digging. It needs a lot. It's gross. I like it. So that's how I'm kind of seeing this full moon in Scorpio, is just something that, and guys, this is, like I said, this isn't really going to be anything super surprising or shocking if you've been paying attention this entire time. If you've been really real with yourself, and really honest with yourself, then this is likely going to be more so of a dramatic shift and pivot, where maybe this could even be something like making money moves. Be careful, Capricorn. Be careful to the signs. Let's see, Libra, Aries, Capricorn, people that'll have like that's happening in financial parts of your life. Be very careful. But for instance, having to make some big money moves in a short amount of time for an emergency or something like that. Or, like I said, having to make executive decisions at the drop of a hat, or making any kind of decisions with a certain degree of finality because some situation has just gone far too long or far too far, and it's intolerable now. Maybe before you could have had a chance or been able to assuage the situation, and sort of done things or said things to bring things more into balance with yourself and your standards. But whatever it is, now it's just gone too far, and there's no time, or there's no way to do it amenably. There's no way to do it quietly. There's no way to do it calmly. Whatever is coming up, it needs to be like really nipped in the bud. It needs to really be zeroed in on. It could definitely be like some kind of psychic surgery in some cases, dealing with the subconscious mind, something kind of coming up to your awareness. There's this story of a man being in an elevator that has, you can't see it because of the bangs, but I have like this, you guys know my Harry Potter scar on my forehead. So this guy has this big scar on his face, and riding the elevator, someone asks him about it, and he's like, what are you talking about? I don't have a scar on my face. Something could be so traumatic that we literally cannot see it, because these two parts of our mind, our conscious mind and our subconscious mind, are working together to protect us so that we can survive with as much sanity as possible, living and breathing and eating and progressing life forward, because our bodies are all about survival, the terrestrial bodies that we have. But then the stars align, and up comes some moment where we may, like, be affronted with the truth in a way that is just like stunning. And it could be really, this really could be positive. This could be absolute, for some people, this could be absolutely breakthrough energy, where some people are using the power that they've had all along in a way to improve their quality of life, improve their life situation. This could be a lot of things of that nature. But yet, on the other hand, it could be, people just as easily feeling victimized by life circumstances. And if that's the case, they're just running from taking responsibility for themselves, taking responsibility for their energy, for their, just taking energy from protecting themselves. Their mind is trying to protect themselves. So they live in denial. So when people are living in denial, they're trying to protect, some part of them is trying to protect another part of them. And they just can't deal, they can't accept it. They can't, they actually cannot. Their mind would break, So I see some minds breaking at this full moon, especially because it's coming off of a Mars-ruled eclipse. And at this full moon, the ruler is Mars along with Pluto, and Mars is in between Saturn and Neptune. That's just coming off of the conjunction with Saturn. If you guys remember, April the 10th, around that time, that's when Mars conjoined Saturn. And that's when we came into an obstacle. We came into some thud. We came into something like a prior commitment we made that we no longer felt the passion and the joy of honoring. It's no longer a joy to do this. It's become a burden. It's become an obligation. It's become discipline. That when motivation wanes, when the love of it wanes, discipline is what comes in to finish the job. So something could have just felt less of a joy and more of just like a duty. Shemley. I gotta watch The Crown again. I'm gonna start all the way over from the beginning. So yeah, remember around that time, around April the 11th, that roadblock moment, because now Mars is about to hit a conjunction with Neptune. And this is telling me one of two things. It depends on how you guys are channeling this energy. On the one hand, the Mars Neptune could be a sacrifice that you are making out of love and purpose, where you're like Joan of Arc, or you have like a spiritual passion where you are being guided, you're feeling possessed by the Holy Spirit. You really feel like this is what you're meant to do, meant to say. This is where you're meant to be. This is where you're going. Like you're just driven by like your utter belief or creativity. In some cases, could be really beautiful for making like a cinematic masterpiece, or for creating some beautiful work of art. This can also, on the other hand, be a sacrifice for the negative, where someone could be feeling like under the control of Hades, where you just feel like, I'm in this toxic relationship and I just can't change it. I'm watching the cars crash, the trains crash, and I'm just like a grotesque observer in all of this. And I can't not put myself out of danger. I can't take myself out of harm's way. I can't quit this toxic arguing back and forth. I can't get out of this. And so you just kind of resign to it. And in that way, you give the power away. But you sublimate and minimize your own warrior spirit. Like you kill it. What's that word? Like you sterilize yourself. You sterilize yourself for something that's not like good for you. You're misled by it. Like that Mars Neptune is such a serial killer energy, to be honest, or just some kind of like God made me do it kind of, you know what I'm saying? So it's very, it could be like that, but it can also be very impassioned for the positive. It could mean that you're ready to make a sacrifice to really get what you want, what you really feel like you deserve. So that Mars Neptune in Pisces is going to come up. When is that? On the 28th, on Sunday. So it's building this whole week, and it's applying at the time of the full moon on Tuesday, the 23rd. So this is something that's like the full moon's going to reveal something. It's really going to be the truth of where these areas in your life you really stand, where people really stand with you, where you really stand in a situation or a relationship, or, for some people, this can be a financial, a rude awakening financially, or a rude awakening in a relationship. Someone's ready to walk out. They've had enough. There's no more talking about it. It's not about, don't talk about it, be about it. It's like, or, whatever happens to be in these areas of your life. So something's gotten fed up, cosmically, or in a relationship or financial situation. You can't hide from the truth of your finances anymore, your friendship situations, your goals, all of that stuff. Okay. So like I said, ruler is Mars, going to be with Neptune, and you're building towards it the 28th, but other things happen before then. So Pluto being in Aquarius, one of the rulers of the full moon, square the full moon. These two energies are kind of like forcibly working together. So, something's being made very clear, like lifting the rocks and finding the crickets underneath. I used to love that. If there was a rock that looked like it'd been there for like 500 million years, that's one that I wanted to turn over, because they would have like the longest living insect residence under the rock. And you can just tell they were just so juicy, that they've been there for such a long time. So it was more satisfying. So you unearth the rock, and you're like, here are all of the creepy crawlies that were hiding from me in the daylight. And the square to Pluto says, okay, now I'm going to put them all in my jar, take them home. Or now I'm going to, I have to switch up the analogy now. Or, you're seeing all the creepy crawlies, and you're like, okay, now we need to take some immediate action. We need to, like the kid that's hiding something from you, your child hiding something from you, and then you find, oh my God, this is so much deeper than I thought. You go into your kid's bedroom after a week, and you're like, oh my God, this is so much worse than I thought. Or, it's whatever you've been minimizing, whatever you've been taking for granted, whatever you've been ignoring, whatever you've been sweeping under the rug. And this could have been something that initiated or was started November of 2023, that you could have tried to change and transform in your life. And if you were trying to change, if you were trying to transform, that's what Scorpio does. Scorpio, but why? But why is Scorpio the ruler of transformation? Because the truth changes you. It's supposed to. The truth is supposed to change you. And when it doesn't, you're in denial. You're supposed to learn something from it. You're supposed to reflect upon yourself. You're supposed to, you know what I'm saying? So you could have tried to change some situation in your life beginning November 2023. And this could be a moment for some of you where those changes are completed. You actually graduate, you finish the transformation that maybe started November 2023, and it's culminating in a very spectacular way. It's culminating in a lot of flair, a lot of drama with this T-square. And these are also very terrestrial, physical changes, because the sun is in Taurus. So it's reflecting the light of the sun back to it, reflecting, more about the reality of the situation. And the T-square to Pluto, it's a brave new world. It's brand new. You're resolving something about the past. And either you're very impassioned about the future, and or you're very passionately bearing some kind of, hopefully it's a sacrifice that you embrace with like honor and dignity. And hopefully it's not a sacrifice that you feel like you have no other option but to make. Hopefully you don't feel like you're victimized into taking on some kind of sacrificial thing to do something. It should feel like I pledge my allegiance to this relationship. I pledge my life to this group, this community. I pledge all of my passionate energy to this project. It should be intense, but in the positive way. Okay, so that's a full moon on Tuesday. That's going to be playing out all week. It's leading up to the climax on Tuesday. The fallout's going to continue. The next event happens on Thursday, the 25th. We have Mercury stationing direct at 15 degrees of Aries. So Mercury stationed retrograde April the 1st. It's been a long retrograde. In the shadow a couple weeks before that, the end of March. So we've really been like off of our A game and like not really able to move super forward since like the middle of March. And when Mercury stations direct, it's going to be a pretty powerful time when we're going to have a lot of clarity. And that Mercury retrograde with the cazimi, when it met with the sun on April 11th, showed us the problem and the solution. It showed us exactly what needs to be fixed and what needs to be focused on, what needs to be redone, what needs to be, sent back to the drawing board. So now with the 25th on Thursday, with Mercury stationing direct, we should be able to start to slowly over some time start to see some positive changes and positive effects of the changes that we've been seeing that we have to make and steadily making since the 11th. But more so than like focusing on having made changes, just reflect on what you've observed that you missed previously, that you have seen now from the 11th of April, Thursday, to the 25th of April on Thursday, because it was more about realizing than doing. Now moving forward with Mercury stationing direct on Thursday is when I would now try to, slowly come back online and see some kind of forward momentum starting to gain traction, and then you can build it. But from the 1st to the 25th has definitely been a revisioning process, and karmic situations, karmic things coming up from the past to be discussed, to be rethought in different terms and belief systems and contexts and perspectives. I think it was Muhammad Ali that said, if you have the same life perspective at 50 than you did when you're 25, then you're doing it wrong. Like, you're supposed to change. You're supposed to grow and evolve. And that's why I think it's funny that Scorpio is like this fixed sign that rules change, that rules transformation, that rules all of the, little bug turning into goo, turning into a winged creature, the caterpillar that turns into goop, and then either a butterfly or a moth. So I would say be very, like, I feel like this week this is like double eyes wide open. So you've got that full moon in Scorpio, very eyes wide open. Then you have Mercury station direct, where you could actually get like the last big clue or the last big piece of information or the last big indication of something that just, it wasn't resolved from the past. And now you have something that's making you look at the past in a very different light, in a very different way. And it's like, okay, now I know how to move forward with this new understanding. So it's very revelatory. And I still would be kind of careful getting things back up and running. And I would still be pretty careful with conversations and things that you're saying, especially anything like public or anything that you're committing to or anything like that for like a week after Mercury stations direct, just because there could still be like faux pas and snafus and stuff. But anyway, the actual day, it should be pretty clear. But this entire week really speaks to awareness and seeing things and things coming out, secrets coming to light. With this full moon in Scorpio, there's no going back. It's also the culminating full moon on a solar eclipse in Aries. So it's like ending the eclipse lunation in kind of a weird way. So it really just seems like there might be like a crisis or some situation that comes up where either you feel like things are out of your control and you have to just like respond and you know, respond to whatever is coming up and do the best that you can and maybe make some executive decisions, or you're feeling like, you know, this would be like even someone walks out of their door and there's a boot on their car. You know, you might feel tossed around by the universe, but honestly, those are consequences. So it could be like that. It can also be something like a positive completion of a goal that you initiated consciously or unconsciously last November 2023 that you are now completing, and just completing it maybe sooner than you thought, or you might feel like something is premature, but you have to just go with it and just go for the rise to the challenge. So I think it looks kind of exciting. It looks, you know, every full moon in Scorpio, I always wish for more disclosure about the aliens. Personally, that's just me. That's me getting my hopes up. So, you know, see what comes up and try to just really be careful of what you're saying, because it's like this could be a moment where everyone's worst colors like are showing. People could be super jealous, super worried, super stressed out, really afraid, holding grudges. All this Scorpio stuff. Grudges, hatred, jealousy, fears, worries, more so like insecurities, greediness, like codependencies, what's that word? Where you're like glomming onto somebody else, like you're hanging on, you know, just spending too much time with them, asking too much of them, codependent relationships, unhealthy, toxic attachments, you know, bonding over making fun of people, bonding over criticizing other people, you know, there's all of that. So if there's anything dark that's been hidden in people's, you know, skeletons in the closets, that could definitely be something that's blown right out into the open. And especially if there's been any wrongdoing, I would expect. So for those of you, okay, this is what we do with the astrology. When we're like going to war and all of these things, okay, in your personal lives, because listen, you go to war every single day. And when you do it like a spiritual, you know, Zen master, you win because you win over yourself. And so you win in the ones with the world. And that's the way through it. So when there are, you know, people maybe throwing each other under the bus or setting each other up, or anything that's super negative or anything super scorpionic, any like mafia, you know, any mafia, like, you know, those shenanigans, you know, all the trust and all that stuff. So whether it's in your communities, in your families, in your friendship circles, in your work networks, wherever this is all kind of playing out, there could be things that kind of come up. Where people really know where they stand with each other, and it's very obvious, and there's like a forced change here. So there could be a little bit of some like balancing happening, only because Pluto is already super extreme, and as the focal point of this T square could be really like manhandling stuff. So in the sign of Aquarius, so Pluto in Capricorn gave us the financial crisis of 2008. It gave us a lot of exposure of the corruption at the highest levels. So I'm feeling like Pluto in Aquarius is going to reveal a lot of corruption in communities on the more mundane level. So probably a lot more school shootings and mass murder suicides, and exposing and bringing to light all of the sicknesses in groups of people on a, like I said, on a more mundane level, whereas Pluto exposed all of the sicknesses in corporate psychopathy and, like I said, the housing crisis, all that stuff. So globally and on the mundane level, more so, yes, all of that, but also supporting that argument is the Mars tune, the ruler of the moon, having Pluto and Mars. that Mars Neptune. Yeah. This could even be something super possessive, like violence that breaks out because people are feeling super possessive and they have some kind of, I don't know, like deranged fantasy, or they're just like the way they're thinking. It's like spiritual psychosis or something. Like just, or having like they believe that they're Jesus or something, or they believe that they're God, or they believe that they're, you know what I'm saying? Like that Mars Neptune, like how, I'm not going to talk about Dahmer, but like, you know how killers and mass murder suicides, they have certain they entertain certain delusions. So that could be some of the scary negative stuff of this. But like I said, if it's T-squaring Pluto, it's bringing these things to the surface so that we deal with it, so we address it, so we can get help to people that are needing help with something, you know. So I went off on a little tangent. Okay, let's take a quick look at some of the tarot before I hop off onto the Patreon and break this down for all 12 zodiac signs. Yeah, I basically broke. That's basically the whole week. It's just a lot of awareness, a lot of eyes wide open moments. So you just focus on what you say and do. Honestly, when you control yourself, you're good. So just focus on that. Don't worry about what other people think or what other people say. Don't care. Stop caring. Okay. What do we need to know for this week ahead? Sunday. I did want to come out. Oh, the 8 of Cups. Moving on, walking away from something for your peace, for your happiness, to walk towards your 9 of Cups. It's leaving behind something that is not completely fulfilling. You drink and you're always 25% thirsty still. And no matter how much you drink, you're still 25% thirsty, and you're never totally satiated and satisfied. There's still something missing. So advocate for yourself. Ooh, I love it. Justice. So you can trust that the right things are happening. The right things are happening when the justice comes out. This speaks to consequences. This speaks to basically the law of cause and effect. That's really what karma is, cause and effect. And so this looks pretty good. I love to see justice here. Creating justice for yourself. Next energy coming out. Thank you. We have the King of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles. So very much emotionally invested in the long term and making long-term decisions, not from an emotional place, but from an intuitive place. Now, for some of you, that might sound like the same thing, but for others of you that are familiar with me and my work and my channel, you understand that it's different to be self-aware of all of the different feelings that you're channeling every moment of every day, and to know the difference between when you're channeling a feeling of anxiety versus a feeling of an intuitive nature. So only take that guidance that I'm giving you if you know that you know the difference. So maybe you're one of my students, maybe you've watched the channel for a long time. But that's what that means for you, is that you are leading and making long-term decisions with your life. If you're the King of Cups, with your intuition and understanding what your intuition is saying, and understanding how to differentiate between an intuitive feeling and a mental thought or an emotional feeling. Understanding what it feels like for your intuition to go off, because that specific sensation is from your subconscious. You have to know the difference. Otherwise, it's dangerous. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're seeing signs that are not there, or you feel like you're getting messages that are not real. So that's just for those of you that can really feel the difference between all these different things. King of Cups, someone that has a good relationship with their subconscious. It's one of the weirdest things, having a relationship with a part of you that like you don't have normal, like the closeness to. It's a part of you that's so far away that you have to find a way to bridge that gap and bring yourself, one part of yourself closer to part of yourself. It's very strange. Very strange. Bottom of the deck, 6 of Cups, 4 of Wands. The Queen of Cups. I love her. Look at her. Hold on. I love this deck, the pulp. And I really love my hair now because I feel like this is really me. And I feel like it's really pulp. I feel like I'm a walking little like comic book character. Okay, so overall we've got Queen of Cups, love her, 4 of Wands, and the 6 of Cups. Okay, so overall there's a lot of love, a lot of happiness, a lot of joy. Look at how satisfied she looks. Like she's just like, So this is really nice. Also, like I said, partner to the King of Cups. So this is a very content partnership or couple or a duo. These two people are just honestly in the same vibe emotionally, where they have the same goals, the same wants, the same values, the same nostalgia. Could be someone that you've known for a long time, someone that you've already been with, someone you are already with, or someone that just feels very familiar to you. Feels, if they feel familiar and you feel that you can trust them, you feel like they've maybe been a soulmate, have a good feeling about them. Tell me about the 8 of Cups, please. Oh, snap. Okay. You're going to have to actually go your own way in a very clever, street smart, common sense kind of way. It's like you've got to be real. You cannot be lying to yourself about your own happiness, or you can't be lying to yourself about letting a situation go on without your intervention. Like this is almost like a real admission to oneself about like, okay, I can't lead this double life anymore, or I can't, have I can't have 85% of my energy over here and then 5% of my energy over here. And then, or there's just something that isn't really cutting it anymore. I see you just being honest with yourself. What's this Justice energy? You don't need an excuse to get out of something. I feel like someone needs an excuse to get out of something, but that's just you thinking I need an excuse. You're putting a self-limiting belief on yourself saying I need an excuse to get out of something. That's a self-limiting belief. You don't need an excuse to get out of something. Okay, what's this Justice energy? Thank you. Queen of Swords and the 5 of Wands. That's very powerful. That's so powerful. That's someone, this Queen of Swords, man. Whew. That's great. That's someone you want on your side. That's like a freaking like fixer or something. Like that's someone that's going to be able to win whatever the argument is. And it's just a 5 of Wands. Like that's not going to hold any water. That's not going to be super effective. It's not, guys, I've been so busy with all of being a little marketing maven during the day that this feels like such a treat. It feels like so special and fun that I get to just be so magical with you guys and channel your tarot messages. I had a really great telekinesis dream last night. I sleep so good Saturday nights into Sunday. Okay, Queen of Swords is just like any argument, anything, they just like slice it down. It's like, hit me with your best shot. Come on. I'll show you how this is so ridiculous to believe this or to think this. I'll show you how to make this better. I can fix the opening. I can fix the second act break, like whatever it is, like that. It's like I could do it. I can fix it. Or, any kind of issue, any problem solving, just being very solution oriented. This is someone just figuring things out. This can even be some kind of like it's either they could be fixing something for a group of people if like they're all fighting amongst themselves, or they could just be organizing something, like detangling something and just making sure all of the right things are being are handled the right way. Being, just leading with a lot of fairness, leading with complete justice. Is also referred to as the Great Mother in the tarot. The Great Mother, who's like passion and penchant for fairness and justice in the home, in the household, is supposed to be unrivaled. That the mother is supposed to, maintain that kind of equilibrium. And it's a Libra energy, Libra card. We have the Queen of Swords. This could be a really powerful moment for another person in the situation to create a fair and balanced, equanimous situation out of fighting, pettiness, little disputes, just nearsightedness, ignorance, immaturity, whatever. The Queen of Swords sees like a hawk above all of that. And they could be someone in a position to create justice in a situation. Let's take a look at the Ten of Pentacles and the King of Cups. Tell me about this person who leads with the intuition. Love it. Boundaries, Nine of Wands. So in order to do this, you have to be very strong. Psychologically, you have to be very emotionally strong to make long-term decisions for yourself based on your intuition. You have to, again, be able to differentiate between an intuitive feeling and an emotional high or an emotional low, or an anxious thought. You have to really feel the difference. So I just said that today in remote viewing session on Zoom earlier today, that that you need to really understand when you're getting a psychic vision or sensation, and you have to know how to differentiate that boundaries are the most important for psychics, because we get so much coming in, and it's really, really important that we have boundaries with our ability, which includes turning it on and turning it off. A really great question came up. I need to be posting on TikTok more. This would be a great TikTok. One of the questions that came up today in remote viewing was about I'm just going to tell you the answer. So the answer was that I explained, if you're picking up on XYZ, and I'm going to put it out of context a little bit, then it's not remote viewing, it's telepathy. And that psychics need to have really great boundaries, and that includes turning on your ability and turning off your ability. And so someone was asking me, how do I do that? And I have a couple of different tricks up my sleeve, but I'm not going to give that away. I'm not going to keep my psychic secrets to myself. You have to join the session, join remote viewing sessions. But I told them everything. I give them everything. My students get the best of me. I swear my students get the best, Natalie. Students and children and animals. Yep. Okay. And my team. All those positions where I have to be like the mentor, I have great boundaries with myself where I never let them disturb me. Because when you lose your temper, you're showing everyone that you cannot control yourself and that you have zero power. And when you do that, everyone can see it, and it's embarrassing. And so that could be another thing about this full moon, where the full moon in Scorpio, someone loses their shit. And all of a sudden it's like a moment where it's like, oh, wow, the emperor has no clothes. Like they're not as great. They're not as powerful. They're not as charismatic. They're not as attractive. They're not as desirable, or they're not as powerful as we thought they were, because they can't even control themselves. Or they can't control their anger, their jealousy, their bitterness, their grudges, their pettiness, whatever. And that could out someone. But the Nine of Wands with this King of Cups speaks, the message and the guidance is to use your boundaries. Use your boundaries. To trust yourself. Okay. So chatty today. Six of Cups, Queen of Cups, Four of Wands. We also have Capricorn. We did Capricorn earlier today on the Patreon. Seven of Wands. See, Seven of Wands and the Nine of Wands coming up together in your same reading for this week ahead, you guys. Definitely going to have to protect yourself. And there will absolutely be criticisms and judgments and, I don't know, arguing, bickering, whatever. But honestly, it's really clear that 3 people know what makes them happy. The King and the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Swords. All these things are very obvious, and just, I would say, like, your own choices, you just need to back yourself up. That's one thing that could be so powerful this week for this full moon, is that the people that have been honest with themselves and been doing the work and been processing things as they're moving, as they're going, they're not repressing anything and backing it up, and they're not caught in a healing cycle where they always feel wounded and they're always trying to heal. They're not caught in any other side. You know what I'm saying? If they're like really with it and like honest with themselves and having a good balance of mental faculty, masculine energy, and emotional, intuitive, feminine energy. You know, for me, having like a very masculine, logical brain during the day, and then switching that off and switching into a feminine, receptive, psychic energy later on in the day. I'm still trying for that balance, but like, it's so worth it to try. Just try, because eventually you're going to have some kind of breakthrough. So, that's what I'm looking forward to at some point. Okay. Take very good care, you guys. I'm going to take a little break, and then I will hop onto the Patreon, where we are going to go through all of this, what this T-square full moon and Mercury stationing direct means for every single zodiac sign. That is available at the lowest tier. There is not going to be anything that you spend $11.11 on this week that is going to be more valuable. April is continuing to be free until May. So keep that in the back of your mind, that you guys, when you guys sign up, you guys get the free trial. And then in May, we're going to have a whole new schedule and all the cool things up for you guys to take a look at. So check all that stuff out. Until then, my loves, until next time, many beautiful blessings upon all of your beautiful heads, darlings.